and a voice in my life, in my family's life, in the lives of those who I know. I believe I can safely say that about most African Americans, there was at least one picture in our home of him, and in some there were more. And he was usually linked with Robert Kennedy and John Kennedy. For Dr. King was the face and voice of the civil rights movement. The movement for the God-given right for every person, regardless of who they are, where they live, what they do, but regardless for every person. Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 27 states that God created man in his own image. In God's image, he created him, male and female, he created them. Before the late President Ronald Reagan in 1983 signed into law a bill that created Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday to honor Dr. King, before the first celebration in 1986, and before all 50 states were celebrating in 2000, Dr. King in the Black community was being celebrated. For we have seen him as the Moses of his people. So here we are to formally celebrate as a community. And this, I believe, is in order, for Dr. King believed in community. I pondered and I prayed over what do I say this day, and even as I talked with my sister cousin this morning, and she prayed with me, it's like, what do I say? What do I say that you have not already heard? What? So I asked God, what do you want me to say to this audience about your servant? So the question came to me, and it kept coming to me, what kind of man was he? What kind of man was he? What kind of man was Dr. King? And I can only say what I've heard. I can only say what I've read in the history books, the videos, and the periodicals. But what I can say that I have learned from his life is that one can make a difference. Yeah. And we have to remember that he was human, just like you, just like me. He had good days. Yeah. He had bad days. He had ups. He had downs. He had his strengths. He had his weaknesses. He had his good parts. He had flaws, just like you and I. He made mistakes. He got some things right. He got some things wrong. And in the dash between sunrise, January 15, 1929, and his assassination, April 4th, 1968, he lived not as a superhuman, because sometimes people in the spotlight, we can make them to be superhuman, okay? But not as a superhuman, but a human being just like you and I. But God used him to make a difference. Did you know that his father's family was sharecroppers? Humble beginnings, but God still used him to make a difference. Okay, got to come down. Did you know that although he skipped the 9th and 11th grades in high school, and more, that he skipped the 9th and 11th grades at high school, but at Morehouse College for the first 2 years that he was unmotivated, although very popular? We have to realize that he entered Morehouse at the age of 15. He was young. Yeah. So for those who want to put that as a negative, and yeah, he was unmotivated, but he was young. You away, you go into college at 15 years old. Most of us go at 18 or 19 or 20. There's a difference there. But that did not cause God to give up on him. There's a message in there. Just because they're young and foolish. I was young and foolish at one time. And believe it or not, it moved into some middle age. I've been foolish some too. And if we're honest about it, all of us have been foolish at some time. Gotta come down. But that did not stop God from using him to make a difference in the lives of others. So I'm saying that to say that even though there's some that might be foolish, don't give up on them. Amen. God can make the difference. Okay? As my grandfather used to sing the song, just keep on praying. The Lord is nigh. Just keep on praying. He'll hear your cry. For the Lord has promised, and His word is true. Just keep on praying, and He'll answer you. Dr. King, with all of his accomplishments, was human, and I'm plugging that point, just like you and I. Strengths and weaknesses, ups and downs, but God still used him to make a difference. I know that some may be saying, why am I sharing these weaknesses? Why am I bringing up these weaknesses? But we always hear about the strengths. That's right. We always hear about his charismatic personality. We hear about his gifts and his eloquence in speaking, his leadership skills, his being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. And all of that and more is great, and it's worthy of remembering and rejoicing over. But strengths usually do not hold us back from doing what we know to do, for doing the right thing and good things, not just for ourselves, but for others also. It's not the strengths that keep us from us excelling in life. It's not the strengths that keep us from stepping out boldly, but it's those weaknesses that stops us in our tracks. Look in the mirror. That causes us to say, I can't. That causes us to say that they won't listen. That causes us to say that, well, my little bit won't make a difference. But just like Dr. King, one can make a difference. To better our surroundings, to help others, to make this world a better place. Thank God for his father and his mother, who taught him and his siblings about social justice. His father was one who fought against racial prejudice because he believed that racism and segregation was against God's will. He taught that class superiority was strongly discouraged. Thank God for others in his life, like Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, oh yeah, our homeboy, president of Morehouse College, who influenced King's spiritual development, not just his academic development, but his spiritual development. They say education and spirituality can't mix. Dr. Mays was an outspoken advocate for racial equality and encouraged Dr. King to view Christianity as a force for social change. Thank God for Dr. King's willingness to learn from others as he took on Mahatma Gandhi's belief in nonviolence. Thank God for Dr. King's accomplishments as a minister, pastor, social activist, civil rights movement leader, advocate of nonviolent protests against segregation, the Montgomery bus boycott leader, a founder of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, with whom the fight for voting rights and desegregation protests were led and the victories were won. Thank God that he led in the Selma March and the Nobel Peace Prize recipient, to name a few. And even in the Selma March, it started, didn't come about. It started, didn't come about. But I think the third time was the charm. Thank God for Dr. King's steadfastness in the call to be the Moses for not just his people, but for all who were oppressed, marginalized, and socially mistreated. That even though threats within, without, and within, even when not only he, but also his family were threatened, home attacked and burned, that even after being beaten and jailed, that he did not stop, but he kept going. That even knowing that he would probably lose his life, he marched on. And he had young children, y'all, and a wife. In this day, that it appears that we're going backwards when it comes to social justice. People are even more oppressed. The government doesn't seem to care. Racism is overt. It's out there, y'all. It's not under the cover. It just comes out now. When we thought we were over some things, things seem hopeless. But one, pull your finger up, one can make a difference. For it's the ones, you, and I, that make up the community. It's the one communities, and yeah, I intended to say that. It's the one communities that when you look around, just look around. Everyone here, y'all not looking around. And the teacher be coming out. Okay. Be obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Hallelujah. Throw that in there. Maybe you take it a little better. All of us don't live the same place, do we? I live in Greenwood. Somebody else might live in Greenwood. But even if you do, you may not live in my neighborhood, in my subdivision. Some people live in McCormick County. Some people live in the township of McCormick. Some people live in a certain subdivision. But everyone represents a different community. So when the ones come together, that makes the community. So one person can make a difference. One community can make a difference. And then the communities come together and they make the towns and the cities, right? And then it's the one towns or cities that make the states. And it's the one states that make the nation. And we have nations. So every nation, if we look at people the way God looks at people, then every nation can come together. One can make a difference in keeping Dr. King's dream alive. But we have to come together. This is beautiful this morning. All of us together. It is wonderful. And there were some who wanted to be here, but because they had to work, because they just could not be here, they're not here, but we're coming together. Okay? So it is beautiful. But we have to come together not just for this day, but for every day, to dream together for this place to be a better place. And as we look at some of the quotes of Dr. King, coming together knowing that only love can drive out hate, coming together knowing that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, coming together knowing that our lives begin to end the day we are silent about things that matter. Coming together knowing that time is always right, that it's the right time, it's always right to do the right thing. Coming together knowing that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Coming together knowing that the ultimate measure of a man, I'm going to say a person, is not where that person stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where that person stands in time of challenge and controversy. Coming together knowing that faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. Coming together knowing that morality cannot be legislated. Oh God, thank you. But behavior can be regulated. Judicial decrees may not change the heart, but they can restrain the heartless. Micah 6, chapter 6, verse 8 says, God has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. One can make a difference.